For our marketing project, we have decided to focus on the well-known brand, The Gap. First, we're going to talk about the initial marketing mix that The Gap had when they were founded in 1969. The company was founded in San Francisco, California, and it was on the premise that there were not enough blue jeans being sold outside of department stores. So the founder decided to sell Levi Strauss jeans in The Gap. You can see from the image that initial stores were brightly painted, they were filled with rock and roll music, kind of very casual atmosphere, circular metal racks, and the idea was that no customer would leave unsatisfied. Whereas there was limited selection at department stores, The Gap had a huge selection of Levi Strauss jeans. They had a lot of stock, so if you wanted to go in and find a pair of jeans, you would find a pair of jeans at The Gap. The company was growing rapidly in the 1970s and 80s. The target group at this point was age 14 to 25, and this was a time when blue jeans demonstrated or represented the opposite of the corporate American ideal. So this was aimed at the generation gap, the group of consumers who were born to the baby boomers after World War II, and that was where The Gap focused on. Hot colors, vibrant music, fun jeans, and that was the marketing mix for Gap initially. Today, Gap develops own label clothing, so they moved away from Levi Strauss. They don't sell anything but their own line. It includes Gap for men and women, Baby Gap, Gap Kids, Gap Maternity, Gap Body, and Gap Outlet, which is a out of season or out of style clothing that's sold in their outlet stores at a lower price point. Currently there are 1,136 US stores and 227 international stores. About half those are located in Europe. Price points are moderate today, and there are special promotional collections. Gap's known for their AIDS campaign. It's Project Red. They do other fundraising for AIDS in Africa. And then they'll bring in special designers to do lines of clothing, or they're coming out with, for this holiday season, a promotional bag where half the promotion goes to AIDS in Africa. So today, Gap also has ads that are endorsed by big name celebrities: Madonna, we have Sarah Jessica Parker, Joss Stone, and Audrey Hepburn was done in a promotional ad. Can we keep going? Sorry about that. So the ads are known with white backgrounds and big celebrity names dressed in Gap clothing. So we're going to talk a little bit about why the current marketing mix is not working for The Gap. First thing is competition. Whereas Gap was targeting a young 14 to 25, currently now it's about 20 to 30-year-olds. They have strong competition from people providing both the basics and people providing trendy fashion, trend-setting gear. So those competitors in the trendy sphere are Next, Abercrombie & Fitch, Zara, Topshop, Mango. Basics are going to come from H&M's going to have some, Abercrombie & Fitch as well, and American Eagle Outfitters. So the problem is that Gap, in trying to target both the consumer groups for the trendy and the basics, has spread their marketing mix very far. Whereas Zara and Mango offers a trendy and affordable alternative to Gap's single colors, styles that are just too boring and too preppy right now. So we're going to look to the next slide where Gap's lost their niche. And today, you can see that in trying to meet so many needs, Gap designers are forced to keep the clothing line bland and appealing to a large audience. So the biggest problem is that they're no longer targeting a slim consumer group. They are putting out a welcome mat to nearly everyone. As Ann Kensington of the National Post wrote, Gap has lost its groove, its merchandising is unfocused, and has lost ground to competitors. And then final quote, if you stand for everything in fashion today, you stand for nothing. So our goal for our marketing project has been to refocus The Gap give them a new look and rebrand their product. So for the first thing we've decided is to focus on Gap Men. We have a new look for Gap Men, and the idea is that Gap Men has not faced the same competition from trendy men's apparel. They are still solid business, and we'd like to have Gap be much more welcoming to the male consumer. So rather than having children's wear and maternity wear in the windows, it's going to be Gap Men. And likewise, we're going to take that. Gap Men's going to have some freestanding stores, and we'd like to see them also integrated with some of the larger stores based on the resources that Gap has available right now. In a similar line, we'd like to narrow the women's focus rather than trying to provide trendy, basic work apparel. We're trying to appeal to too large an audience. We're going to have them target a slightly older audience and go back to basics. So strictly jeans, t-shirts, jumpers, a very basic, clean look, and a much smaller women's line. Also, Gap tends to have heavy discounting. Whereas in the past, carrying lots of stock, having your color, your size in the store was one of their goals. Now with online ordering, it's not as relevant, and Gap winds up having lots of leftover styles and sizes available in these large discounting and movement of old apparel. So we want to have Gap carry less stock, and therefore without the discounting it won't influence the brand as much. So you don't come into a store and see mass sales. We're going to keep a moderate price point, and again you can see reduce the discounting. We'd like to see, in terms of the place for Gap, fewer and smaller stores. So whereas Gap now is with such large stores, it is too appealing to trying to appeal to too many people. If we make the stores smaller, also Gap Men, like I said, have their own retail stores, and also kind of tailor the lighting and the atmosphere to a scene that is more appealing to the male shopper. So if that's the lighting, dimming the lighting, making it seem a bit more trendy for the male shopper, and also making sure there's no Gap baby or maternity wear in the windows to dissuade a male shopper from entering if he's not with his family. We'd also like to see Gap maternity be moved to Gap Kids, so Gap Kids and Baby Gap. So we have here's a Gap maternity marketing bag that we put together, and we think that Gap maternity right now is a bit misplaced in the women's wear. So if you have it with Baby Gap, you're also going to be attracting a mother looking for newborn clothing. So you're going to be able to double target the mother and bring her into the store where she can buy her own apparel and newborn apparel as well. Last, in terms of the place, we'd like to see the Gap have an online ordering system for the UK. Right now there's Gap in the US, but you're not able to order from the UK and have online shipping. And we think this is an important thing, especially in London and the UK, where online shopping is very large. Composes a large demographic here. In terms of promotion, you've seen our look for Gap Men and Gap Maternity, so the new store names are going to be new signage for the stores. We'd like to see TV commercials use more lifestyle scenes to show the new Gap ethos and target audience. So whereas before Gap's been targeting for trendy young shoppers, we'd like to see it move to a slightly older audience and appeal to a mom with her family for the Gap Body, Gap Maternity, Baby Gap, and Gap Kids lines. We also are recommending a green campaign through Gap Promotional bags, which are recyclable. Gap right now is really well known for their AIDS campaign, and as a longer term 5 to 7 year plan, we'd also like to see some environmental awareness and corporate social responsibility. Again, with this Gap maternity bag, you can see it's on recyclable paper and with the theme for green. And we think that that's somewhere that Gap can continue to focus on in terms of rounding out their image as a socially responsible company. And that is our proposal for the Gap.